Anyway, talking about what happened in South Africa, that advert was just to allow people to, to pay attention. So what has happened in South Africa, I'm sure all of you, by now you know that the matter has been adjourned to Monday. Today is Friday. The matter has been adjourned to Monday, 10 o'clock. I think the judge said 10 o'clock or 10:30. Now, we need to understand, first of all, because some of you may still have not followed exactly what happened. So, there was a judgment, okay? There was a judgment, and that judgment ruled in favor of government. And what that judgment, the South African court, what they said is that public interest overrides personal interest. So whatever EDGAR Lungu could have said to say, I don't want Hakainde Hichilema to be part of my funeral, okay? That was his personal desire. That is what he wanted on a personal level. Then we have the family also saying, no, we want to bury EDGAR Lungu in South Africa. Why? Because EDGAR Lungu was not treated properly by Hakainde Hichilema. So we don't want him to be accorded a state funeral. This basically, my brothers and sisters, don't follow a propaganda, whatever. They are saying all sorts of things. You just have to follow. The question that you should be asking yourselves is that, why do the family, the so-called family, want to bury EDGAR Lungu in South Africa? I want you to understand this very well. Very, very well, because it is important. Ignore all the propaganda. They are saying a lot of things. But whatever they are saying, whatever Lord that they are saying, they can build up a mountain of arguments, of sentiments, of emotions. The question that you should understand on this matter is that, why do they want to bury EDGAR Lungu in South Africa? That is the question that you should be asking. Ignore all these things. Ask this question. Why do they want to bury EDGAR Lungu in South Africa? And number one, the argument is that EDGAR Lungu himself, when he was alive or before he died, he said, Inenga nafwa, if I die, I don't want I don't want the government of UPND to have anything to do with my funeral. This is the number one reason. They are saying EDGAR Lungu's wish was that they don't want the government of Hakainde Hichilema, particularly Hakainde Hichilema, to be anywhere near his funeral. This is what the family have told us, that this is what EDGAR Lungu said. So that is number one reason. Number one reason is EDGAR Lungu's wish. Ubufwayo bwaba EDGAR Lungu balungu baleba tinenga nafwa nshirefwaya ubuteko bukapalameko ku kibiro kyandi nangu ku kitumbi kyandi ku mubiri wandi nshirefwaya makamaka Hakainde Hichilema nshiremufwaya. That is number one reason. Number two reason is that the family and ingatwaiba ti family tulelanda power kashi, because our kashi, as the widow, she's the next kin. Okay? She's the next kin. Abakashi, she's the next kin. So, she has the bigger say than anybody else. But other than that, family. The one who has the bigger say, it is Esther Lungu. It is Esther Lungu. So, okay, Esther Lungu no rupwa lwabu, balebati, ifwe taturefuwa okuya ku Zambia, tutwale ekitumbi ky'aba Lungu ku Zambia. Baka bashika paemba spaki taturefuaya. Why? Chinchi taturefuaida. Taturefuaya because ba EDGAR Lungu tawa bachitire treat wino. Ubuteko bwaba Hakainde Hichilema did not treat him well. Ubuteko bwaba Hakainde Hichilema did not look at EDGAR Lungu as a former head of state. So, we don't want to take Edgar Lungu to Zambia because Uteko did not treat Edgar Lungu well. These are the two main reasons. These are the two main reasons. If you say they are bringing this, that, you must understand that the reasons are only two. And I'm emphasizing this because this is what the court is looking at. This is what I'm emphasizing. This is what the court is looking at. This is what is in court. All the other reasons, and that no, we will tell the story of Edgar Lungu, how Edgar Lungu moved on a economy, how Edgar Lungu moved Uber, whatever. All those reasons, all those things that they can say so many things, but all of them, they are summarized in these two reasons. One, the wish of Edgar Lungu. I don't want government to be part of it. Number two, the desire of the family. We don't want Edgar Lungu to be buried in Zambia. Why? Because he was not treated properly. And it is because of that reason that is why Makebi Zulu now is bringing in ama story yakwe and whatever. Tapali fimbinami papa tandefwa ya Mungu mfuikishe. Ama reasons yalife yanga yabidi. Two, ubufwa wawa Edgar Lungu and ubufwa wa family. Emma reasons fairly. So when the court ruled, the court ruled to say, number one, if you are Edgar Lungu, number one, by Edgar Lungu I should be buried in South Africa. That is what the court in the judgment they said, okay, the deceased never said I should be buried in South Africa. But the deceased said, the only thing that he said is that I don't want government to to come near my body. I don't want. And the court said, this one is something that can only be looked at in Zambia. Because basically, the court in South Africa cannot direct a president of another country to say we kasangwako kuchiliro because umuine Lungu ala ndirefi. It is internal. It is only a court in Zambia. Mwangu fikisha wino hapo. Yes, Makebi Zulu na lawyers, they were asking the court in South Africa to say turefwa mwebe haka inde ichilema kasangwako kuchiliro. Then court ya said we cannot make an order for a president of another country. We can't. That can only be done in Zambia. So imwenda mlefu wakobati haka inde ichileme ikasangwako. Sendeni chitumbi kavie ni kuzambia. Muye kuzambia ngamwa kuzambia. Elo muka yeku court number. You go to the court, to the Zambian court, and ask the Zambian court to bar the Republican president from attending. In South Africa, the wishes of Edgar Lungu cannot be enforced. Mwangu mfa wino. Ama wishes yava Lungu, they cannot be enforced in South Africa because they relate to a president. But this president cannot be barred or cannot be ordered by a foreign court. So, going to South Africa and saying, balungu balikana. So, tuwapapata wa court, tatirefwa, haka inde ichile makasangweko. Court yalikana, if we cannot rule on this one. Uyumula ndu, mufile mwa autola kuzambia. So, kabie ni kuzambia. Kuzambia, elo mka esta apply kukoti. So, issue yawa Lungu, number one case, out. Then number two case now. Number two case, family lewat, no, tabamusungile wino. Koti yalika na yevere. Ayoma issues ayo, muleleta mwati, yo chavefi. Those issues, they are neither here nor there. The court looked at them and they were like, these are not issues that we can look at. And why? Why they refuse to look at those issues? They refuse to look at those issues. Number one, because EDGAR LUNGU ama claims yonsayo wale pango ko bati yo na chani bari kanyo ku jogginga they didn't pay for my medical bills and so on and so forth. Those issues were caught whatever. My issues are yo. It's difficult for us to establish the evidence. It's difficult for us to establish the evidence. And particularly, the government is saying, we didn't refuse him. We didn't refuse. We actually wanted to pay, but he refused. And then, in terms of benefits, benefits, they were withdrawn because that is the law. When you are former head of state, you can receive your benefits. But once you cease, or once you get back into politics, then those benefits must be withdrawn. So it is not that we didn't recognize him or we wanted to treat him bad. It is the law. So the court looked at those issues to say, I am issues, okay? Then there is another point that actually relates to EDGAR LUNGU. The issue of personal, okay? So no mokubika. If you balungu balandire, nefe family leranda. Kwaisa banomba public interest. So the wishes of EDGAR LUNGU and the wishes of the family, they are now challenged by public interest. So the court looked at the issue of public interest. They said, look, according to your court, okomwafuma. Kwadi ruling, court yali if the interest of the public is bigger than the interest of an individual when it comes to a man like a former head of state. So, if you mule fire, if you are lungu bale fire, if you live to Fikong, or if you family de fire, what the family wants, it cannot be overridden by public interest. And they quoted the issue of Kaunda, which was ruled in Zambia. And in Zambia, it was ruled when EDGAR LUNGU was actually president, where Kaunda clearly stated to say, I don't want to be buried at Embassy Park. I want to be buried at my farm next to my wife, next to my beloved wife. If you Kaunda wale fuaya, Kaunda wale keno kubashika pa Embassy Park. But EDGAR LUNGU, who take over EDGAR LUNGU, they said, no, whatever Kaunda said, we cannot follow it. We have to follow public interest. And this is what went to court, and the court agreed with Lungu's government. So South African court is saying, Imwe, when you were in power, yourselves, you refused to bury Kaunda pa farm. Mwaile mushika pa Embassy Park, but no public interest yakula. Nomba imwe mwalalanda shanu kwebati lero mchinje mwebati yo balungu tabali bantu anikane. We will have to respect his wishes. We have to respect the wishes of the family. How come? This is a double standard. Efo court ya South Africa yala ndide. That's what the court in South Africa said. That you cannot be double standard. When you were in government, this is what you said. You refused to bury Kaunda at his farm next to his beloved wife. But you said no public interest. No mbalelo mwapili mukashani. If your court ya South Africa yala ndide muli judgment yawo. And they said, judgment if umine kumye ku Zambia kuja. Then there is another point that they brought. The fourth point that they brought was the issue of the law. To say, government, you cannot give the people, giving the government, the Zambian government, the body. You can't give them. Why? Because the South African law says that umuntu ngafwa, if a person dies, he's supposed to be handed over to the next of kin, not anybody else. That is the rule in South Africa. That is the rule. That is the law in South Africa. And so, Makembe Zulu and the family, they are saying, you can't give Avena haka inde ichilema. Ichitumbi, you can't. Because we are the next of kin, according to your law. According to the South African court, according to the South African law, it is us to get the body. So what did the court say? The court said, yes, it is true. This is what our law says. It is true. This is what our law says. But, number one, in your agreement, number one, both parties, you agreed that the body can go to Zambia. You see? Number one, you agreed, and they agreed, indeed they agreed. And the lawyer Wawa family, no, we didn't agree. We didn't agree. Then they said, but what about your press conference? What about that press conference where you said, we have reached a compromised agreement? What does that mean? No, that was not an agreement. But Judge Valisa Asuka, the judges responded by saying, you may not have agreed on everything, but there was something that you agreed on. Okay, there was something that you agreed on. And certainly, you did not disagree on the issue of repatriation. So if you didn't disagree on the repatriation, what are you doing here? Because at the moment, what is common on both parties, what they call common cause, on both parties, there is no disagreement about repatriation of the body. There is no disagreement. What has come as an issue of disagreement, it is the issue to say, no, Ngatwayaku Zambia, we don't trust that government or haka in the Ichilema will stay away. But the court is saying that can only be ruled in Zambia. Okay? So number one, you agreed on this one. Okay, then number two, about giving the body. According to our laws, the South African court is saying, we have got precedences where they have said that if there are some agreement, there are some disagreement, there are parties involved, we have to consider those and make a ruling according to common knowledge, meaning what is making sense. Meaning what is making sense. That is what the court said. They said, yes, but you know, a law is not cast in concrete. The law is dynamic. The law is made for people. The law, you have to consider the circumstances. Just because somebody has killed a person, for example, I want to give an example. Just because somebody has killed another person, it does not automatically become murder. So you can't say, no, he is the one who killed him, so it's murder. This is the situation. Killing another person, it's murder. And that's what the law says. If you kill another person, it's murder. But the law, you can't just go to court to say, naipa yo muntu yu, nafwa, uyiwa mwipe. For example, wapunko muntu. Let's imagine wapunko muntu. You hit a person and the person dies. You don't go to court and say, simply because, so, nafwa, ni mada. Therefore law yava. Therefore law yava. And this is what the South African court is saying. As much as the law says, ko pela the next of kin, but there are circumstances where we need to consider, you know, what really happened, what is sensible here. And in this instance, like when you kill a person whilst driving, they don't say murder. They consider what happened. Did you do it deliberately? Did you have the intention to kill this person? Did you drive this car intentionally to go and knock off this person? They consider circumstances. So yes, the law is there. When you kill a person, it's murder, but it is not automatic. And that is what the South African court is saying, that yes, we need to give to the next of kin, but we need to look at the circumstances. And the circumstances here are, number one, are that this person is a former head of state. And as a former head of state, public interest overrides personal and individual interests. That is number one. Number two, the issue of Hakainde Ichilema, the issue of moving the body, it is not disputed. It is not disputed. Makebi Zulu is not refusing that the body has to be repatriated. Baresa Lungu is not refusing. So that one has been agreed, that the body must go. The only issue is that, no, Hakainde Ichilema should not attend. Okay, if Hakainde Ichilema should not attend, that cannot be ruled in South Africa. It can only be ruled in Zambia. So this is what was ruled in South Africa. And when they ruled that, Makebi Zulu, na family yao, they are saying, no, the court has erred. The court has erred to say, no, the judgment in Zambia can be looked at, because that was not a judgment. He's bringing in technicalities. But whatever technicalities that Makebi Zulu he can bring in, the issue is that, where is Wakaunda buried? Where is Wakaunda buried? Where is Wakaunda buried? And then another issue that that Makebi Zulu and the family are bringing in is to say, no, Wakaunda died as a former head of state. His benefits were not removed. So, him is a former head of state. But Valungu is not former head of state. And the court refused to enter into those arguments. They simply asked that lawyer to say, Iwe lawyer, we'll show you fuile. This man who has died, the deceased, isn't he a former head of state? And, embarrassingly, that lawyer said, no, he's not a former head of state. They said, what are you talking about? This man is not a former head of state. Okay? So, for them, they are saying, no, we cannot take Lungu as a former head of state because his benefits were withdrawn. Now, Imumwevandu, let's reason. What makes Lungu a former head of state? Is it the benefits or the time that he served as a president? Valungu served for 7 years as a president. How can you say, no, Valungu is not a former head of state because the benefits were withdrawn? What really makes Valungu a former head of state? What really makes Valungu a former head of state? Is it the benefits or the time that he served, the swearing in, the executive powers that he had? What makes him a former head of state? The Lungu family, they are saying, no, he's not a former head of state. He should not be considered a former head of state. Why? Because they removed benefits. The question is, what makes Valungu a former head of state? Is it the removal of benefits? Is it the benefits? Or the time that he saved? And clearly, all of us, Nangufeni were praise singer, Nangufia Ulishani. I mean, what makes Valungu former head of state? It is not the benefits. So Nangama benefits Vali Fumiako. He still remains a former head of state. And this is what the court was saying. Okay? So there is no difference. Pali Wakaunda na Valungu, tapali upusano. And if Wakaunda was buried at Embassy Park due to public interest, why should we treat Valungu differently? Why? Why? Then the issue of Valungu, this is what you wanted. This is what you wanted. They're saying this court can only be looked at Zambia. So basically, the court ruled that Imamwewan to Kavieni. And since government is applying for that, that is how they granted them the body to say, you can take the body to Zambia. Avena Lungu na Wakana. Based on what? They are saying, no, you have erred because your law says no. Only the next of kin must be given. But the South African court is saying, we need to consider extenuation circumstances. We need to consider. Just like muli murder, me pere example ya murder. You need to, yes, when you kill a person, it's murder. But you need to look at extenuation circumstances. And this is exactly what the court ruled. Now, since they made they now made an application to say they want to appeal. They want to appeal. Then whatever they want to appeal. But procedure, when you want to appeal a matter, in this case, you need to ask the court to say, judgment yenui, I'm not satisfied. I want to take it higher. And the court will take the judgment. They will say, okay, tell us, what is wrong in our judgment? Tell us, what is wrong in our judgment? And then you need to argue now your matter to say, apa if mwala ndirapa, apa if mwala ndirapa, apa if mwala ndirapa. Ngawamo nama judges, if the judges look at it to say, okay, maybe you could have a point. Maybe you could have a point. Maybe somebody else could look at it differently. Then they can allow you to appeal. So the stage at which we are, te appeal iyo. We are not at a stage of appeal. We are at a stage where the Makepi Zulu, the family, they have approached the court. They want to ask those three judges to say, Imo fomwala ndire, taturefisumina. I think mwaliru wakwa pasona, so. Okay? And but judges, balalo le shapo to say, okay, maybe you are making sense. Maybe you are making sense. Maybe let's allow other people to look at it. So this is where the stage. But they can also refuse. They can refuse to say, when are you? Your case here is not making sense. What you are telling us here, it's not making sense. We will be wasting time taking your matter further. So, two things can come up. They can allow an appeal, but they can also disallow an appeal. What will determine their decision? What will determine their decision is what the family lawyer will argue to say, I think apamwa liluba, apamwa landirefi, but awe, ngamwa kesi ya so, patiko kesi ya iimbi ali chitikako, okay, palifi ya chitikeko, mwamono fama ama judges waneno fo wachitide. I want you to understand me very well here. The family will be arguing to say, look, you said that public interest overrides personal interest. But look, there is a case here. And this case, they said, no, personal interest is more important than public interest. Okay? Then here, you said, no, the South African court can consider different circumstances and, make a judgment. But look, this is what your other judges ruled. So if they can prove that case whereby they bring some other judgments which are similar to the circumstances, to the similar argument, and they show that there were other judges that looked at it differently, then those judges will say, okay, let other judges look at it. But if they don't bring up convincing reasons, then those judges will say, you are just wasting our time. Let the body go. And this is what is going to happen on Monday. This is what is going to happen on Monday. Now, there is something that is very important, which I want to draw your attention to. The court, what the court said. There is something that the court said, which is very important. Very, very important. A very important issue here. I want you to listen to this. Listen to what the court said. I want you to listen to what the court said. I want to bring my speaker. Let me bring my speaker so that Mumfa will hear.
From Lusaka, crossing over to Pretoria for the latest on it.
I want you to listen to this. It's very, very important.
Discuss with my colleagues. We also agree that the matter to stand down to Monday at optimistic that the finality that would I've discussed with
So,
EDGAR LUNGU's barrio case.
so, we can each take on a so first up, so that Mumone. I'll even do this.
my colleagues. We also agree that the matter to stand down to Monday at 10 o'clock, and we're still optimistic that the finality that would be in the interest of all the parties would be reached.
Ndefo amboke shepo kukini kulasi, ndefo amumfo aka kulasi kukuinoko. Aka kulasi soko ndefo amumfo ikishi. Palastap.
I've discussed with my colleagues. We also agree that the matter to stand down to Monday at 10 o'clock, and we're still optimistic that the finality
that
that would be in the interest
of
all the parties would be reached.
Of the finality,
Monday,
which will be, ni nalabo keshap na papata mbelele nikolos.
Clock, and we're still optimistic
Optimistic
that the finality that would be in the interest of all the parties would be reached.
that will be in the interest of all party will be reached. So 10 hours, and
Court adjourns.
they adjourn the court now. You see, they're saying we are still optimistic. We are still optimistic that the finality, and judge ambox alefo ya mawedzaya ko bati abomvye paja ashimashimako, okay, that will be in the interest of both parties will be reached. Now, ever since this case started, I have been emphasizing this point that the South African government came out very clearly to say they want EDGAR LUNGU's body to be brought to Zambia and be buried in Zambia. The South African government made it very clearly. They made it very clearly. The propaganda, Yawa PF, they were trying to make it no, the government have been very clear. They even sat as a cabinet. The issue of EDGAR LUNGU was discussed in cabinet of South Africa. And in that, their decision was that EDGAR LUNGU's body should go to Zambia and be buried as a former head of state. Of course, they were being courteous to the bereaved family, where they were adding to say, we are also considering the family's issues. But the ultimate decision, the ultimate desire of the South African government is that EDGAR LUNGU is buried in Zambia as a former head of state. They don't want him buried in South Africa. They don't want. And I've been repeating this over and over. Then we have the second point, the court. We have the court also. The court, from when they started, they have always been emphasizing that the parties can talk and resolve this matter. They have been saying it first. And that is why they even gave them more time. They gave them such a long adjournment. Why did they give them such a long adjournment? They gave them such a long adjournment so that they can resolve these issues. They can resolve these issues. Alas, the family has been adamant. The family has been very adamant. And I'm saying the family has been very adamant. I can even walk you through how government has tried to compromise and how adamant Makebi Zulu and Vamaewa EDGAR LUNGU have been adamant. The government has been sending people to South Africa to go and engage. What does the family say? No, the people that you sent to negotiate, hey, Chawana Shani, hey, they used to say things about EDGAR LUNGU. Is that how people who want to negotiate respond? If you want to negotiate, if you want to you want to come up with an agreement, do you start bringing up issues to say, no, because Uyumwatuma is the wrong one? Hey, Shan. Yes, I agree. It may matter. The people that you send may matter, but really, for people that really want to engage, you cannot be bringing up issues to say, no, these people that you brought, whatever. And, you know, they have not only sent politicians, they have sent even traditional leaders. They have sent even church leaders. They have sent them so that they can engage. But the family has been they are so hard-hearted, they don't want to compromise. They don't want to compromise. And what they don't want to compromise on, what is it that they don't want to compromise? At the moment, the only issue that they have is that Hakainde Hichilema should not be part of it. They don't want Hakainde Hichilema to be part of it. That is the issue that they have been adamant on. Government has tried Shani. The president, look at how Hakainde Hichilema has exuded himself. He has exuded leadership. He has exuded magnanimity. He has exuded reconciliation. Hakainde Hichilema, I always talk about this. I always say Hakainde Hichilema was also not treated well by EDGAR LUNGU. The rivalry of the two people, it is not just on one side. It is not just on one side. It is on both sides. Hakainde Hichilema also has scars. And if we were to talk about scars, Hakainde Hichilema has more scars than EDGAR LUNGU. Hakainde Hichilema was jailed. Hakainde Hichilema was tear gassed. Hakainde Hichilema was shot at. Hakainde Hichilema was put mumafi. He was humiliated. He was treated badly. You can't compare the sufferings of EDGAR LUNGU to the sufferings of Hakainde Hichilema. You can't. So Hakainde Hichilema na wine, he has scars. We can say he also has grudges. But look at Hakainde Hichilema. Ever since Balungu died, Hakainde Hichilema has never at one point say, no, EDGAR LUNGU treated me bad. He has never said that. Instead, he has called for unity. He has called for the country to mourn this man. So, even if you want to be bad, even if this person is bad, okay? Even if this person is bad, you look at his attitude. Look at how he has come out during this time. Look at how he has come out. Honestly, can't you soften your hearts? Honestly, can't you consider this man? Knowing very well that these people, they were fighting. And when Balungu was there, he treated this man badly. Balungu even made a promise that ingana abuela nkamulibuloyu akaya kujele. Balungu made that promise during the elections to send na wina nkamulibuloyu. So honestly, tetimukwate ko mutima wakuibwela mo. Tetimukwate ko mutima wakuibwela mo. Mwaibwela matao but kwena. I mean, you know, there is also a part. There are people that have been saying, no, Hakainde Hichilema should apologize. Hakainde Hichilema apologize for what? What about Balungu? Who is going to apologize for Balungu? Who is going to apologize for Balungu? So, even from my point of view, no, Lungu tabamu treat wino, Lungu tabamu treat wino. But surely, look at the way Hakainde Hichilema was treated. And yet, he's a president today. He's not talking about uyumuntu movie sana oyu. He's not doing that. Instead, he's saying, can we come together as a country? Can we give this man a dignified send-off as a former head of state? But imwana mukosa fe guys, let's be real. Ina panchile landra waka inde ichile mati yo shan. I'm telling you, these are facts. Bushai mweta mwa mwenoko waka inde ichile maba chulile. Bushai mweta mwa umfiloko balungu wale pingo kwa tinenga na wina my elections inka mufulula. Didn't you hear that? Imagine if Balungu had won the elections. Where do you think Hakainde Hichilema would have been? Where do you think he would have been? So, Imam Mulefo Anumba, Mwanuleva Lungu to say, no, he's an angel. No, it is not making sense. So, the point I'm trying to make is that the court said, can you engage? Can you negotiate? Can you come up with an agreement? And government, from my point of view, they have been trying. But Kulima Makebi Zulu, na propaganda wao. Whenever iminina fe paku bifyo government, Hakainde Hichilema, this government. No, one. Let's be fair. But the court has been saying, can you talk? But the government, the family has been refusing. And I'm sure if it apart from the land, people are watching. And people are watching. It's not only Zambia. All other people from South Africa are also watching. And even the people, even those judges, they also get this kind of issues when we are talking. They get it. And besides, they are also saying, they read and what do you think? What do you think the judges are thinking? Do you think the judges are happy with the family? Look at how the judges responded when that family lawyer wanted to start talking about, no, EDGAR Lungu came by economy. No, EDGAR Lungu was asking people for medical bills, for medical bills. What did the judges say? The judges said, I mean, what you are telling us, you want us to consider that? That's what the judges say. What does that mean? They are not interested in Makebi Zulu's stories. They are not. And so, Babu Pera judgment, now judgment, Mwaikana. Mwaikana judgment. You have refused that judgment. Based on what? No. No. EDGAR Lungu's wishes must be respected. But the court is saying, we can't stop Hakainde Hichilema from attending. Go to Zambia. Family, no, we can't go. Because he was not treated as a former head of state. The judges are saying, he was a former head of state. No, we can't go. But you agreed to go. So, these are the grounds. And even today, the court hearing, Nipa Monday, the Nipa Friday. Court hearing, Nipa Monday. What does the judge say? Kulastuku. He's saying, we are still optimistic. Meaning, they're telling them, please, we are tired with you. We are tired of you. That's what that judge is saying. He's saying, we are tired of you. Can you go? That's what that judge is saying. Basically, that judge is telling us, he is telling, all the parties, that's what that judge is saying. That's what that judge is saying. We conquered Tishanchani, ni judge you. So, Techalande kwati nebo, but
optimistic.
Uyo judge.
The finality.
Uyo. Ndefua mwekeshe pomu.
The finality. Colleagues, we also agree that the matter to stand down to Monday at 10 o'clock, and we're still optimistic that the finality that would be in the interest of all the parties would be reached.
You see, that judge,
Monday, 10 o'clock.
That judge, they are tired. They are telling you, please, Imwe, resolve this issue. We don't want this case in court. We don't want. That's what basically they are telling you. They don't want your case in court. They don't want. How many times do you go to court and each time the judges are adjourning, they are telling you, go and talk. Go and talk. What does that mean? What does that mean? How many times namu ya kukoti umulandufye ulife serious? If there is a serious matter that requires the judges to look at, that requires the ruling of the judges, do you hear judges repeating to say, go and talk, go and talk, go and talk, go and talk? What does that mean, Kwena? What does that mean to you? Mwayaku koti, instead of my judges vekal, then I don't know, ama judges vekal, go and talk, go and talk. We are still optimistic. Meaning, they are saying, they don't pay Friday, case ni pa Monday, but they are still saying, Imwe, can you go and talk? The judges are tired. They don't want this case in court. So if the judges are tired, if the judges don't want this in court, what do you expect of the ruling? What do you expect of the ruling? Tell me, what do you expect of the ruling? And even the grounds that I've explained here, Apanin Pitamo, I've explained the grounds. Number one, Yoba Lungu Alandirati, Chilufya aka inde chine makaparameko. Judge bebele, if you're mufilema jiringa kuzande, if we cannot stop haka inde chine. Family, no, we prefer to shike kuno because he was not treated as a former head of state. Ama judges bebele, if there are no evidence. Ayoma issues, and if as far as we are concerned, this man was the former head of state. No, your law. And basically they are telling you, Busheni law yenu. Basically they are saying, Busheni law yenu. You want to interpret their law. Zambians, you want to go to South Africa and interpret their law. No, your law says this. No, your law says this. Okay, if we don't law, but we consider other circumstances. And in this instance, we are looking at the public interest. Public interest, which you yourselves, with EDGAR LUNGU as president, upheld. How come today you want to change to say, no, it shouldn't be? So, with all that, Mwevandi, what do you expect will come out on Monday? What do you think we will expect of Monday? Do you think, some of you will say, no, you like attacking Makebi Zulu. Do you really think Makebi Zulu alebomfya wisdom wapa? Do you think no, don't talk about the widow. Don't talk about the widow. Do you really think that widow of yours, do you think she's applying wisdom? Do you think she's applying wisdom? If I've just told you what it is. Do you think those so-called family, do you think they're applying wisdom? Do you think they're applying wisdom? Now, judgment Monday. What do you expect? Do you think those they are tired? They are tired of you. They are tired of you. They are tired of you. They don't want you. You are embarrassing us there in South Africa. You are embarrassing us. You have outlived your welcome. You have outlived your welcome. Bali mipokerele. Balungu baba tensha mpaka bafwa. Namba mwikalije fena mukoserera fe ushayimo kwena mwabashani muri bantu bashani mutontonga na shani. Mutontonga na shani. What kind of people are you who cannot see, who cannot read, who cannot smell what is in the air? What is in the air is that the South African government and the courts, they are tired of this case. They don't want it. They don't want it. So if they don't want it, you think they will allow you to start going kuma appeal? Eh? You think they will allow you to go kuma appeal? So let's be real. Let's be real. Whatever they are doing is wrong. Whatever arguments, propaganda. But really, this case has no legs to stand on. It has no case to stand on. And even on Monday, they will just be embarrassing themselves. The South African government is tired. The South African people are tired. The courts are tired of this case. Na Chile, they can be tired. I mean, muntu afile 2 months ago. Anyway, I think I've explained clearly what is currently going on. I don't expect the judges to rule that the appeal should be held. Just that statement you have a judge there to say we are still optimistic. We are still optimistic. They're on pa Friday. Bakesa pa Monday. Anyway, guys. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I want to talk about PF, but I'll see if I'll have the energies. But I'm good, eh? Have you seen how I've spoken here? But I'm good. I'm feeling good. Let me cook. Bye.